We should not to wait until the door is demonstratively slammed in our faces, but to do it right now and move these volumes away from the European market to more interesting directions, well, and to gain a foothold there, which is the most important thing.
Here's President Vladimir Putin talking about the disruptions, oil and gas amid Middle East crisis.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I asked you to gather today in order to talk about the situation that is taking shape on global energy markets, to synchronize watches. And I would like to hear your opinion regarding the events taking place, to consult with you regarding how we should coordinate the efforts of the state and our private companies in connection with the events taking place. In this regard, we will also discuss Russia's further actions in the sphere of global energy as a whole, including taking into account the aggravation of the situation, as we understand it, in the Middle Eastern direction. Russia has more than once, I would like to note right away, warned that attempts to destabilize the situation in the Middle East would inevitably jeopardize the global fuel and energy complex, raise oil and gas prices, limit the supply of these resources throughout the world, and would certainly disrupt long-term investment plans. By all appearances, this is exactly what is happening. Today, we see logistical problems on hydrocarbon transportation routes, and we see that this is reflecting in the most negative way on global production chains.
That's true, and that's exactly what's happening. Oil should be at 200 already, but I don't know what's holding it back, but it will definitely go to 200 if this war continues. But let's continue.
Hitting industry, and essentially without any exaggeration, the entire system of international economic relations. Because following the disruption of supplies come other problems of a purely economic nature. Inflation is growing,
certainly,
and the production of not only oil and gas, but also the production of industrial goods is suffering. Let me remind you that last year, about 1/3 of the world's seaborne oil exports passed through the Strait of Hormuz.
1/3.
And that is around 14 million barrels per day. Of these, about 80% were headed to the countries of the Asia-Pacific region. Now, this route is effectively closed. Oil production that is tied to the use of the strait risks coming to a complete standstill as early as the coming month. It has already begun to decrease, and storage facilities in the region are filling up with oil that simply cannot be exported, or is very difficult to export, or is very expensive to export.
Exactly, because if you're pumping all this oil, you cannot store them. Oil is meant to, you pump it and you ship it, you send it, and then you pump again, and then it's a system. But once you pump and it's not moving, you would have to shut down. The operations will be shut down because you can't store that oil. You don't have the space to store it, and that's going to cause problems. And that's exactly what he's saying. Russian oil has been sanctioned. So the Europeans used to get oil and energy from Russia, and then they sanctioned Russia after the Ukraine war. And what's happening is they were getting the energy and the oil, these European countries, from Middle East. And now that Middle East, this war happened and oil is not moving, now they're forced to buy energy and oil from Russia again. And Russia, this is a big leverage for them, because now you're telling them we don't need to buy nothing from you. And then now you're coming back to me and saying, hey, I do apologize. You know, it's like when you want to go get something from a store and then it's too expensive. You go to another store and you find it's more expensive, and then now you're back to square one. So that's exactly what's happening. And Putin, this is how a leader should be speaking. But let's continue.
It is obvious that a complete switching of Middle Eastern oil supplies without using the Strait of Hormuz is currently, at any rate, for now, unrealistic. Changing the logistics will not only take a long time, but will also require significant expenditures on infrastructure, the expansion of marine terminals, and so on. And of course, it will be fraught with high political risks, which have not gone anywhere. And yet consumers need oil today. As a result, global oil prices are rising. We see this perfectly well. In the last week alone, they added more than 30%.
Wow.
I looked today at 5:30, I think, in the morning Moscow time. Somewhere it already broke through 119. It was over $119 per barrel. Then
Wow. The beginning of this war, or crude oil was about $68, and now it was about 119. It went down a little bit now.
107, 109, 106 now. I think Igor Ivanovich was saying 103. It's fluctuating somewhere around there at this moment in time. But all the same, the fluctuations are ongoing, and the trend is not toward a decrease, but toward an increase. A similar situation is taking shape on the global gas market as well. Supplies of liquefied natural gas from the Middle East have decreased sharply. In the region, production capacities have declined, the restoration of which will take weeks, if not months. It is impossible to promptly compensate for the dropping volumes. As a result, global gas prices are also growing, in my opinion, even at faster rates than oil prices. What I would like to emphasize in this connection, in the current conditions, competition among buyers for energy resource suppliers is intensifying for the securing of stable, predictable supplies of oil and gas. And in this regard, of course, I cannot fail to say and to remind not only the colleagues sitting here in this hall, but also generally all our consumers, that it is precisely by stability that Russian energy companies have always been distinguished.
Wow. That's crazy. So what he's saying is basically you ran away from us and you put sanctions on us, and then now you went to a market that's not stable, and you see what happened, and you left this market that was stable because whatever egos you had or the war in Ukraine, and then you put sanctions on us, and then you ran away from us and not buy from us. Now you went to the Middle East and you see that market's not stable, and now you're back.
It is obvious that the global logistics of the fuel and energy complex, in the conditions of the ongoing conflict in the Middle East, will change in favor of more profitable, more promising markets.
Exactly. So more like that. So he's like saying welcome back, because the market he's talking about is the Russian market, more profitable. And now he's telling them, he's rubbing it in their face. He's going to say like, hey, we're going to make money from this now, and we're going to use that money on the Ukraine war and take over, like, to continue fighting that war. And so exactly, it's just this is geopolitics. It's the way he's speaking is professional, but in a way he's telling them, like, this is a got you moment. What goes around, it's like karma. What goes around comes around. Yeah. Or like the old president used to say, George Bush, yeah, fool me once, fool me twice, or shame on, yeah, and fool me. But you can't be fool me all the time. You know how it goes. All right. Anyways, yeah, let's continue.
At the same time, it must be understood that the current high prices for raw commodities are certainly of a temporary nature. We understand this. It is an obvious thing. We must proceed from this. Therefore, I asked you to gather and to consult with you about how we should coordinate our efforts in the near future. The change in the balance of supply and demand for hydrocarbons will, of course, lead to a new stable price reality. This
new price reality, meaning that it's going to skyrocket, and now you're going to see the reality of what's happened now because of this war, and also because of this market that you used to buy from us, but now you left, and then you're going to have inflation, and your population, when the gas prices go to the sky, then you're going to have people that are angry, and that's when you feel the pain.
Will inevitably happen. Therefore, it is important for Russian energy companies to use the current moment, including for the purpose of directing additional export revenue toward reducing their debt load, indebtedness to domestic banks. Dear colleagues, I would like to specifically draw your attention to this. I ask the government and the central bank to take this process under control. I will say this once again, Russia acts as a reliable supplier of energy carriers. It has always been so. We will certainly continue to supply oil and gas to those countries that are themselves reliable counterparties. I have in mind not only our partners in the Asia-Pacific region, but also in states in Eastern Europe, such as Slovakia and Hungary. Even now, some colleagues before the meeting in this broad format already informed me of this. We are increasing supplies to our reliable partners and in several regions of the world at once. At the same time, I want to remind you that the countries of the European Union plan to introduce additional restrictions on the purchase of Russian hydrocarbons starting April 25th, including liquefied natural gas, up to a total ban on such supplies in 2027.
Wow. So he's saying the Europeans also already put a ban on us starting April 26, and a total stoppage of buying from us 2027. So
in this regard, the government has already been set the task of assessing the possibility and expediency of terminating the supplies of our energy resources to the European market.
wow. So basically, is what he's saying is, why do you have to even wait for April or 2027 to cut our oil? We're going to do it right now, because now they're hungry. Like, this is like water. When you're so thirsty and you don't have water, and then now you used to get your water from the Middle East, and now they ran out of the water. They don't have water, and then Russia is the only one that has what you need. And they're saying, hey, they didn't want to buy from us, and now they're coming back. So he's like, if you want to sanction us and cut us off, what are you going to cut us off a few months down the road or next year? We're actually going to do it right now. So that's crazy. That's like a checkmate.
We should not to wait until the door is demonstratively slammed in our faces, but to do it right now and move these volumes away from the European market to more interesting directions, well, and to gain a foothold there, which is the most important thing.
Wow. This is like a FU to all these European countries. This man is a smart leader. He's just like, he's killing them. He's basically telling them, hey, this is what, like, he's showing them how to be, how to fight, and how to be strategic. It's not just about going and 1 day, 2 days. He's thinking long term, and he's patient. He waited, and all these years, I think the Ukraine war, 4 years, they were fighting against him. And now the tables have turned. I mean, that's it. That's what happens when you're the aggressor and you start wars. God is not on your side. And you say, God is on my side. No, God is never with the aggressors. God is always with the people who do good and who promote good in this world. So just everybody trying to do their part.
Right now, the market situation is taking shape in such a way that if we reorient ourselves right now toward those markets that need an increase in supplies, we can establish a foothold there now. That is, where there is stable long-term demand and reliable relationships of a long-term nature.
Okay, so he's saying if you're that desperate, we can sell to you again, but you would have to sign long-term contracts. You can't just sign something and then after the Middle East war is over and then you put the sanctions back on us and then you leave the Russian market again. So it's either you're in all the way or don't be like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Either all in or all out. Yeah.
In those states that are building constructive business relations with Russia. By the way, I asked you to come in order to consult on all these matters. If European companies, European buyers suddenly decide to reorient themselves and provide us with long-term, stable joint work, devoid of political opportunism, freed from political opportunism, then please, we have never refused. We are ready to work with the Europeans as well.
Exactly.
But we need some kind of signals from them that they are ready and also want to work and will provide us with this steadiness and stability.
Yeah, Russia just like, if you want to make money, they say, let's make money together. Don't be coming to us and then a few months later you backstop us.
The government is also keeping these matters under control. Now, on all these matters, I hope we will speak with you in a substantive manner.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this one. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.